101.1 and 99.1. This is Turn Up Radio.
Yo, Richard feeling me there. So I can say, you look good. Nobody don't want you. I full time to start now. What are you doing? Yeah, tell her I say love. Yeah, take me out to come off of your ear. I make you want to shake me on your ear. Take me to your man ear. Between your and you want to come to the baby fear. You like me, them only for you. Good as I am, them a beach party here. So call on your big event. Yeah, because the man them feel the fear. And tell them that love. My crew push your heart is right. Me and my friend about way out this guy. Some girl make up on the night that I never keep me them like Chucky Bride. And we make them go what we play. He just put them to the final stage. Can you please set up your man? Them start put up here and put out the game. And more art. Just and more gas. Just and more house. Just and more doctor. Just and more eyes. Just and more rock. Never know good life. Never know I fashion couldn't afford the price. Never know hot boys that they never know price. If I never walk a fight. Hot girl, sweet like a honey. X25 when I drive in the sun. Vicky have a secret, Gianni funny. Man come up and me no beg them no money. Watching them any which way it's funny. 10 pounds, 10 cats up to see the tummy. Some of them you get that quick turn on the money. Cause I'm on the ground, spread to the body.
Sometimes I'm feeling like there's only 2 days in the week. Yesterday was Monday. I'm looking at Friday afternoon. So hear that? Do you have a talent or skill that you can turn into a business idea? Well, don't sleep on you, my youth. Get your business started today. The Youth Economy Agency will guide you. Provide funding. Yes, sister. Provide funding. Plus training to run your business profitably. Yo, go online now to start living the St. Lucian dream. Just one click and boom, you're in business.
Good afternoon and welcome to Youth Unplugged, RCI 101.1 FM, sponsored by the Youth Economy Agency, turning those talents, those hobbies, those interests, and helping you turn them into viable businesses. Those of you online, see me adjusted the camera a bit. All right, framed properly. With over 30 years in journalism across radio and television, I've learned that some of the most powerful stories come from people who use their voice with intention. And today we're spotlighting a young woman who does exactly that through poetry, authorship, and community service. Joining me today is Angella O'Brien, and we're going to get right into it. So welcome, Angella.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, it's wonderful to have you. It's always great to have young people who are making a difference in St. Lucia, and particularly I have a passion for the arts. So people like you, of course, are always interested to interview. All right, so first of all, let's start off with your journey. You're from the community of LTV.
Yes.
Before North, big up.
Big up.
How did that environment shape your voice and your love for poetry?
So Bellevue, I want to say before Nova Extension actually has always been a community constituency, whatever you would call it, of the culture, the arts. We have our musicians. Romo Folio is from Bellevue himself. Avo Sev is the band. The Escape Band. All of these great musicians are from there. Poetry really came from my mom. My mom was a writer when she was younger, just like me. And in our schools across the View for North, we instill these these arts subjects and crafty things. We instill them in our children from young. Even now, as a facilitator, when I go into the schools or just to visit, we do take part in different craft stuff. So community is definitely where it started from. And they've been pushing me and still at me to this day. So yeah.
All right. And of course, you're known as the performance poet, author, and event planner. Which of those identities come first, and how did the others follow?
Poetry, performance poet came first, actually. I started writing a little over 10 years ago. Yeah, my first poem was actually written out of rage, unfortunately. And I continued to do so because I felt like at the time it was just a way for me to express myself. So it was only fair that every time something happened, good or bad, I would take a pen, take a paper, and just write it down. And it kind of grew from there when there was a drumming festival in Bellevue.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
am I not surprised?
So there was that, and they're like, well, how about you come and perform one of your poems? And I'm like, yes, this is my time. This is my time to take stage. And this was my first performance, maybe back in 2012. And from there, my craft started to grow like fast. Because the following year, I was at Marigold Jazz. And back then, Marigold Jazz was a big thing. And I was one of the main acts. I guess at the time, it wasn't something new, but it was something different at the time. So that was something for me that really just grew my career. Taking into author, and then let's do author next. Fast forward to 2023, I got the opportunity to participate in the poetry festival in France, and that was through UNESCO. There was this thing online. I want to say a big shout out to Jonelle, who sent me the link for that opportunity. So yeah, she sent me that link and I applied. Jonelle, James. Yes.
Hey, Jonelle.
So big up to her. She sent me that link. I applied, and from there is something that really enhanced my career. Because from there, my book was launched in France. Just the opportunity to do a book was a thing that came about because back then I'm just writing poems and I'm performing across my community and I'm performing across Vivo North South, back and forth, different schools. But then it takes you a step further when you get a call and you get an opportunity to go somewhere. So now you feel like, okay, well, I need to do something more. And at that time for me, it was doing a book. So I did that, and that's when the author part came about. I went to France, had a beautiful experience with UNESCO, met up with lots of Caribbean authors, and of course European authors. Met up with, created a link. I want to say with UNESCO because that too is, UNESCO is a global thing, so that is something that you create your network from. Coming back to St. Lucia, I launched the book again for, St. Lucia is their own thing. So we did that. We did a launch in St. Lucia in Bellevue. That was really good. I was supported by friends and family. And then from there, we started the Poetic Keepsake School Tour. And Poetic Keepsake is the name of my book. So from there, we started the school tour. And this is where the author part really came into play, where you start to do things and people are inspired by you. And the children want to be like you. And then you start to feel a kind of way because now I feel like when I walk somewhere, somebody's watching me or their parents or the child. I remember this one time I can't remember where I went, right? But I went and then this young primary schooler, she's staring at me. And then she finally walks up to me and says, "Are you the girl in the book?" So that was something for me. This is something that to this day still happens. So that's why the offer came into play. Events.
They all come in, they all
interrelate. Yeah. Events came about after performing, right? Being able to perform my stuff, I started to tap into like, what can I do for my community? And this is where the events came into play. My parents own a shop, bar and restaurant called Brown Shirley's Place in a Bellevue Gap. And this is where I host my events, most of them at least. So tying it all together, before I became an author, right, I would have general events at my parents' place. I remember one time we featured CDL and Nerdy. I remember one time we featured Kuya, and so different artists.
Enough practice.
Yeah, man. So different artists would come through, pass through, and do their thing. When we have our carnival in Bellevue, they would come through and make sure they stop in the shop, as well. And then now that I'm an author and I'm pushing poetry and writing and, my craft as well, what I've done now is shifted my focus a little bit to the type of events I'm producing. Okay. So 2024, we had Celebrate, we had Poetry Escape, and these two events were like poetry events that featured not just myself but other poets from around St. Lucia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's really how all of it just ties in together: the poetry, the author, the event planner.
Now,
Yeah.
Poetic Keepsake, it was launched in 2023, and of course, we didn't mention your journey at the 40th Poetry Market
Mhm.
in France. What was how did that change? You did speak a bit of the network and everything, but how did that did it even serve to change your perspective on your craft? And how, if so, how did it change your perspective?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's when I started to understand a little bit more about my craft itself.
Mhm.
Um, it was a point in time where I was writing amateur poetry,
Mhm.
maybe if that's how we want to phrase it. And then when you go out there and you're almost forced to now have an editor. So before I was just writing poetry, just
Just free, it's freehand.
right, yeah. And then this time you have an editor, right? That comes into play, and this person is giving you feedback about your work, and you're like, I don't like this, and I prefer this, and whatever. But then you have to settle on a final product because they know better,
Mhm.
right?
Oh, you secretly do
Well, yeah,
it. Oh, you hope sorry.
we would
Let's say
hope
you'd
so.
hope that they do.
Yes, absolutely.
But do you think sometimes that the editor those takes away the authenticity? What you as the writer, the authenticity of what you
I do feel that way. I do feel that way a lot of the times. And I remember having a conversation with my sister, and I was telling her, it's very hard for me to hand my work to somebody else.
Mhm.
She explained to me, right? She tried to the best. She tried to explain to me what it is and allowing somebody else to review it. Even if you may feel like the edits that they send back is not perfect, what you just should do is find somebody else. Like find somebody, not necessarily till you find somebody who edits it the way you love, but just to see that you're getting the feedback, and at some point you will understand at least one person's
what
perspective.
there you go.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it broadens your scope on what the public consumes, what your reader
Yes.
consumes.
Yes.
All right. Or how they perceive what they consume. Let's put
Hmm.
it that way. Okay. Back to your book. The book captures personal experiences with while embracing St. Lucian culture.
Hmm.
Why is it important for you to document and preserve those stories?
I like that question. All right. So personal experiences. I read poetry that you're supposed to relate to. And that's why when I come on stage or based on where I'm going to perform, I try to ensure that whatever I'm going with, I kind of have a general idea of what the crowd is going to be like. Even this morning, I was at the before South Dr. Ray,
Mhm.
the little ceremony in the morning, and I went in with a poem that I knew I'm going to perform. But when I got there, the scenery is different. So I had to swap what I'm going to perform, right, to fit the crowd. So the personal experiences for me in the book, um, it helps with my connection to my reader. It helps me determine, especially since this was the first book, it helps me determine who my audience is going to be, or help determine who my audience is going to be. Because then I get to know, do you love this poem? And this is why I always ask persons like, why do you love this poem? Like, why do you prefer reader over beneath the evening skies? Like different questions. And then it will help me carry on from there. Preserving Canada's culture.
Yeah,
I
that's given.
yeah,
you you don't have
that
to tell me on that.
yes. And something I always say was very, very, very necessary for me to put in the Creole poems in there.
Mhm.
There's 5 Creole poems in the book, and I remember going to um France, and I actually performed one of them
Oh,
live.
really?
Yes. And at first I was like, do you really think I should? And I'm like, Angela, it's Creole and French. This
You
is
might
the
be able to pick
space.
up something.
And they did.
There you
They
go.
did. So much so that one of the persons in the audience was from Guadeloupe. And he's like, I understood every single thing you said. So like these little experiences really helped me, and this is why it helps to put them in the book, write it down, perform it on stage, go into the schools and say it, and it just helps to build my craft, build myself.
All right.
Yep.
What's your favorite poem?
In this book,
And would you like to recite it?
sure. My favorite poem in this book is beneath the evening skies of Helen's communities.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
So it is from the section Sinisha Pasquale, and that's because the poem itself, I sat outside my parents' shop
Mhm.
and I started to think of, not really think of, I sat there and I looked around what's happening, and everything in this poem is what happened at the time. So here goes. Beneath the evening skies of Helen's communities, a chilled breeze brushes the streets at 6, releasing the evening dew. Come on, for the walking street man foreign to the fancy come. Stones of those roots graze the souls of barefooted miners, answering grandma's calls for bugs. Giggles will soon be ended by scolding as the clock ticks away the little one's fever. An hour's sweat halts till tomorrow with heavy breathing, tripping chests and wet shorts. The shopkeepers sew their sales increase as stocks decrease. The stench of perspiration clogs the mini-mart's space. A salesman concludes his day with fresh fish, overpriced at just the right price, filling the community air. His mouth mimics that of a horn not only in volume but also in tone. Kawam, Balau, Doan, beneath the evening skies of Helen's communities, a production in action is portrayed.
Wow,
Yeah.
that was amazing. Because you folks listening, this is Angella O'Brien from the
Yes.
community of Bellevue in VA4, and that was her favorite poem. And I'm sitting there and listening to all the descriptions, and I'm just imagining it from the perspective of someone just sitting down there, well, me sitting down there with probably a sketch pad and just drawing what I see, or maybe even a movie camera just capturing what.
Yes.
That was beautiful. That
Thank
was
you.
amazing.
Thank you so much.
That was amazing. And we do have some comments on the Facebook Live. Dear London, sorry, says super proud of you, Auntie.
Oh, thank you, Auntie.
And my brother Kendall Elba says kudos to Angela for doing a wonderful job as a very skilled and inspiring poet and dynamic and impactful community leader and event organizer. Without a doubt, a sterling role model for young people. Keep up the wonderful work.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elba.
All right, so we're continuing, and we do have a rapid fire round where
Okay.
I ask you questions. Just you answer the first thing comes to top there.
No problem.
All right. Okay. Of course, we spoke about about Poetry Escape, Poetic Keepsake School Tour. What role do these initiatives play in making poetry more accessible to the public, especially young people? And have you seen that being realized through that initiative?
Yes. So Poetry Escape was an event that featured myself mainly, right? And what I did is select a few poems from this book and two others outside of this book. And I did it live on stage. So it was like me in theater. That's basically what it was. And then I featured Liz, who was at that time the 2022 or 2023 National Outstanding Youth in Literary Arts. And that was important for me to feature somebody else who's within the craft who is nationally recognized. So being able to put this out there, feature somebody else, it helps persons understand that your craft, your passion, you can put it out there and sell it. You can put it out there and accept criticism for it. You can put it out there and just do it just for fun, right? A lot of persons find, I don't usually like to do that talk, but that's what it is. But a lot of persons find, they don't want to be a doctor, they don't want to be a teacher, they don't want to be this quote unquote traditional careers. We have a lot of creatives that are being built in our communities, and this is one of the main goals to help them see and understand that their creativity can be used as a career choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with that said, I need to give our sponsors a quick plug. The Youth Economy Agency.
Absolutely.
And of course, you do the mandate of VA. So have you ever received support from them? And if you do, you could tell us about it. And if not, what do you think of such an initiative?
Yes. So when I was getting ready to go to France, the youth economy was one of the main initiatives that stepped in and assisted me with my travels. So um, ooh, to this day, the youth economy continues to help young persons in the community. And what I keep saying, like persons actually thought I used to work at the youth economy. That's how much that's how much I speak about it and encourage persons within my area or just general persons who ask me questions about my craft, like, how do you go about this? Try to youth economy. One of the things I really admire about them is the way that they keep in touch with their clients because in 2024, I got the opportunity to perform at one of their ceremonies,
Mm.
right? Last year I was a client for the investment forum. Is that what it's called?
Mhm.
Yeah. And they also have these trainings that they keep providing for the small businesses that um, come under them or that they assist. So all of these things I believe are opportunities that our young people really need to take advantage of. Because it's really going to help you. It's really going to help advance yourself as a creative, as a small business owner, and just as a young person.
I don't have allergies, so I think it must be like can't believe I'm hearing about all the assistance that youth economy agency
Sure.
gets in young people. Okay, let's get into your history of service to community. Beyond the arts, you are deeply involved in community development, hosting youth retreats and trainings, and serving as a trustee of the VA4 North Youth and Sports Council. Why is that work such an important part of your journey?
Because it comes back and it ties into my goal from Ella's Artistry itself, which is my brand.
Mhm.
So while Ella's Artistry is mine and it's my poetry and it's my event, how do I give back to the community? I tap into the different groups in my community and I become part of them and I assist them wherever I need to or if I cannot be part of them. So being a trustee, being called upon to be a trustee for the V4 Northeastern Sports Council was actually a stepping. It's not the ground, it's not the foundation. We'll talk about the foundation a little bit. But it was something that really lifted me because it gave me more opportunities to assist more young people.
In that administrative role.
Because the executive of the council itself are persons who are still learning. So as a little bit of an experience community member, that's something that I'm able to tap into and just help persons with. So yeah, the foundation really of community work was many years ago, where I used to be part of the Bellevue Creole committee. Um, I used to be part of, well, we used to have Martin Levy started a long time ago.
Mhm.
So to this day, I still involved in that. And just anything that happens within the Bellevue area, they'll call Angela if they need assistance, pageantry, everything that we had, we have, and going to have. I assist as best as I can and always just try to always bring somebody with me. I usually ask one of my council members or my sister or just somebody that's interested to say, hey, you want to come? Let's go. So they too get the experience as well.
All right. And your work was recently recognized by the National Youth Awards.
Yeah.
Where you received 3 awards: Outstanding Youth in Literary Arts, Outstanding Fellow in Youth Work, and Community Achievement Award.
Yeah.
You've reached your goals yet? What I mean, I see you blushing. I need not ask. I need not ask how that felt. But tell us anyway. How does that feel right now, walking around those badges?
With those badges, yes. This was actually 3 or 4 nominations. So I
Wow.
had 4 nominations
Wow.
and capturing one on the night. I'm like, all right, yeah. Because the first one was literary. I'm like, yes. And at that time, I'm not gonna lie, I was really content because this is my foundation and I'm getting recognized for this I really love. And then when they called me for the second and the third, I'm like, oh my goodness. I
Before big up.
yes. I was really, 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 really excited. I was excited for my community as well because the other two speak a lot towards community development. I know there are quite a few persons who were rooting for me who see and know the work that I put in both from the background and on the forefront. So an ecstatic feeling.
Uh, Great. And finally, in this round of question, um, how do you balance that creative expression with service and leadership in the community? And what's your spare time like?
Hmm. What's my
What
spare
do you
time?
like doing outside of the million things that you do?
Yeah. So literally the million things that I do. Yesterday my sister told me I wanted you to do something for me, but you're just so occupied with everything else, I'll just do it myself. That kind of me kind of when she doesn't do it, she's probably listening now. How do I balance it? If I say I do, is that a reasonable response?
It is. I don't know how I balance all the million things I do. You just do
Exactly.
it,
You
right?
just do it. You just do it. You get up on a morning, you write a to-do list. At least for me, that's what works. I write my to-do list and I cross out things as I go along.
Yeah. I really I forget.
Okay.
I forget I had a list.
Honestly, I get you. I get you. But yeah, it's the work on the morning, council duties,
Mm.
elders artistry duties, the other group that I'm affiliated with, these duties as well. And in the middle of it, one of the things that I like to do is really just tap into different people. So like on a random Tuesday, on a random day, I will message a friend of mine or somebody that I know has another business
Mhm.
or has another something going on. I say, hey, how's it going? And then they give me a rundown because now they feel like, well, hey, somebody's interested. And I truly am. And I'm truly interested in seeing how I could help them.
Mhm.
So I don't know, it's just a lot. And I'm happy that I'm able to balance it.
Oh, well, congratulations on that. I wish I could. I mean, I write,
Mhm.
but then it's almost like I make excuses not to write. Just you have to be in a, for me, it's I have to be in a particular frame of mind
Mhm.
for me to when I start writing,
Yeah.
you start feeling and it
Feel
starts flowing and that kind of thing. One thing I hate to do is to start and come back to it later. So
Okay. I
it's
know.
a matter of just like flow
I
while the
get
idea
you.
is.
I understand.
All right, so Angie,
Yes.
Elder,
Yes.
whoever, with however you prefer to call it, we're going to our rapid fire round. But before we, in fact, no, yeah, we'll do that before we get into your social media handles
Okay.
and further information. So, poetry or prose?
Poetry.
Why?
Because it's easier for me to write. It flows. And I love the two things I really love about poetry. You leave the reader or your audience wanting more.
Mhm.
And these secluded and double meanings in poetry. Love it.
Yeah, but you get it right. Satirical writing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what.
You're right. You're right.
But yeah, that's it. Perfect. Um, I asked that wrong question, so this next one I'm gonna phrase it either another way because it
Okay.
originally said Bellevue or anywhere in St. Lucia. Anywhere else apart from Bellevue, or you prefer on St. Lucia? Apart from Bellevue, because you know home
Mhm.
already has that special place.
Apart from Bellevue. This is supposed to be rapid fire. Quickest one then.
Actually I see your calendar just
Yes.
just change that.
That's
She's all very organized.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm thinking too long. I want to say Vijay or Mikud.
Vijay or Miku.
Or
Okay,
Mikud.
Miku, okay.
Yeah.
What pronounce it? Miku?
Yes, I did.
I have a. I was telling someone there before. Like, I half sort of grew up in VA4, so
Okay.
your town. I'm a VA4 boy today.
Nice.
But I know as people who pronounce the T in Miku are normally from the south.
Yeah.
Normally from the south. Even Miku people themselves pronounce it.
Yes.
I always found that to be a very strange phenomenon that the people in Miku themselves
Use the D
use the
in
T.
it.
All right, next. Notebook or phone notes?
Notebook. Pen and paper always.
Yeah, always. One word that describes your purpose.
Ooh. One word. Accountability.
Accountability.
I think that's it.
Think that you want to expound if you gotta explain it.
Two things or two levels. From a personal level, when something happens, and I don't want to use the word blame, but for lack of a better word, I'm going to use the word blame, and I'm blamed for it. I sit back and I reflect, and I try to see how or why am I being blamed for this, and I take accountability for it. The second thing is I try my best to teach it a lot. So when I go out and I facilitate in my different classes, that's one of the main things that I teach them, that you need to take accountability for your actions.
That's fine. That's
Yeah.
the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem.
Absolutely.
All right. Finally, one word that describes your journey so far.
Oh my God. Rapid fire. One word that describes my journey so far. Oh, one word.
That's a good description.
I think
My
so.
journey
We're
has
gonna stick with that.
Good quote. All right. That's
We might
What a
have to
ride.
stick with that. We might have to stick with that for sure.
What a ride.
Yeah,
It's probably insert that somewhere in your next poem and
yeah.
pay me some royalties.
Absolutely. Maybe my next book is coming out this year. So we might have to fiddle something regarding that.
Yeah, well, you know,
can-
you're going to have a second when it comes out, so we'll have you again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have no opportunities to announce for this year.
All right. So you actually segued into the next question. Looking ahead, how do you see your work evolving over the next few years, creatively and in service to your community?
Yes. Two things. So this first book, Poetic Keepsake, is a chapbook, which means it has just about 40 pages. It has 29 poems. My next book is going to be a chapbook. It's going to be a fully fledged book. And I've said to myself, somebody actually made me realize this, and then he said to me, "You need to be able, when you come into a room, to say, this is my first book and this is my other book, and look how far we've come." Right. So this is like something
Actually, I thought that was one of the Jehovah's Witness.
right. Exactly. Yeah. So this is how I started, and this is how it's going. So that my next book is definitely gonna be a fully fledged book. Two other things that I'm really looking forward to doing is pushing Creole more. I remember last year I had a Creole poetry competition on the Creole calendar, the Creole Heritage
Month.
calendar. And it's something I want to make annual. So we're gonna do that this year. And this year I'm looking to participate in another international.
Oh, of course, why not? The more we should be our overseas about.
Absolutely. From a community level, I also want to see that I want to get my poetry group off the ground. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we will have you back on your Unplugged to tell us about all your
Absolutely.
successes. All right. Ella, thank you so much for unplugging with us. If there's anything you'd like to add before, of course, your social media handles, how you can be contacted, where your books are on sale, and where the outlets, that offer sale. So shoot.
Okay. Yes. So I actually have a website. My
there you go.
website.
I'll type it on the Facebook.
Perfect.
Anyway, go ahead.
So my website is ellasartistry.com. I want to just put this in there as well. Like
make sure I have it. ELLASARTISTRY.
.com.
ellasartistry.com.
Yes. So I really want to say that persons see me and they know my name. I want you to know my brand. Yeah. I want you to know that it's Ella's Artistry. And that's why sometimes I prefer persons call me Ella, so that they'll at some point hook the artistry part to it.
Right.
So yes, so my website is Ella's Artistry. My Instagram is yes, Ella's Artist.ry.
Okay, so just
same thing.
No spaces, right?
No.
Underscore. Okay.
No.
Okay. ELLASARTIST
.ry.
Okay.
Yes.
Ella's Artist, I guess Ella's Artistry is
taken away.
Yeah. Surprise.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Well, my Facebook is Ella's Artistry as well. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, right. So you can reach Ella at ellasartistry.com. That's ELLASARTISTRY.com. On Instagram at ELLASARTIST.RY. ellasartist.ry. Ella, again, thank you very much for
Thank
plugging
you so
with
much.
us.
This was fun.
It really was fun. It
Yeah.
really was fun. And usually when I have those interviews, I don't want to leave. It's better than listening to people's business on
Yes.
Wednesday outlet.
Yes.
Boss, you didn't have me say that. Yeah? All right, folks. Those of you who tuned in, whether on the Facebook Live, YouTube, and over the radio 101.1 FM, and of course, tune in. And those of you internationally, thank you very much for joining us on News Unplugged today. It was a very wonderful interview as usual, and my guests. It's really good to see our young people making strides with so many areas, so many. So it's not the traditional, as you said, which are no longer traditional. Doctors,
Yeah.
they're no longer traditional anyway. But you know, when you have young people, there's something to see when you see young people are really give their all into the arts. You know, it goes along. And of course, you can't be like arts are important to any community. It gives you
Absolutely.
identity. All right. So again, once again, thank you very much. Those of you listening. Aline Ephraim says, great stuff, Angie.
Well, thank you,
Send some love.
Auntie.
Oh, but your
Today,
entire
internationally.
family.
They have to. They have to. The support is always
Of
there.
course, of course. Oh, and let me big up your MP as well.
Oh,
Because I know
yes.
I not tired of seeing him videos beating the drum.
Yes. Last night we actually had literary night in before North. We had it in Piro and I was there, and that was a good thing to see some other young persons that are coming up along with some older persons that tell tales about their time before. So that was something really good last night.
All right, brother
Big up.
Musa, brother honorable Musa, honorable brother Musa. Thank you very much for being that leader, of course, to ensure that the arts remain alive in your community as well. So once again, folks, thank you very much. You can join me next Wednesday for Letla, and of course Thursday for another thrilling conversation with another young person for Youth Unplugged, sponsored by Youth Economy Agency. Goodbye.
But imagine, sometimes it's feeling like there's only 2 days in the week. Yesterday.